What if the greatest enemy of your freedom is hiding inside your own mind? You repeat ideas you don't even know the origin of. You defend truths you've never really tested. You make choices thinking you're in control, but are you, really? Locke called this a mental addiction, believing without questioning, thinking without noticing you were taught to think that way. Today you'll discover there's an invisible war going on inside you, between what you were taught to think and what life has already shown you. And maybe, understanding that is the first step to finally living awake. Stick with me, because once you hear this, you'll never trust your own thoughts quite the same way again. Chapter 1. The Invisible War Inside You. Believing something just because you've always believed it, or because you were taught that way. You think you decide based on facts or logic? What if even that was handpicked by someone else? You're about to see why the battle between empiricism and rationalism still rules your life, even if you've never heard those words before. How many times have you trusted what you saw? How many times did you believe what you felt? And how many times did all of that fail? I've trusted what looked obvious to me, and I was wrong. I've believed with all my heart, and still got hurt. In the end, what felt safe was just projection. What felt true turned out fragile. But what if the issue isn't what you saw or felt, and instead the way you learn to judge what's real? There's a conflict you've never noticed that drives your choices. On one side, rationalism. The belief that reason is the main source of knowledge. Descartes, the I think, therefore I am guy, thought the human mind, used well, could reach truth. For him, logic outranks any experience. If something is contradictory or blurry, it isn't trustworthy. And without knowing it, you inherited that mindset. On the other side, empiricism. Locke, Hume. Philosophers who said, "No one is born knowing anything. Everything you know comes from what you live. The world itself is the source of knowledge. You learn from touch, pain, love, mistakes. The mind alone isn't enough." And that lives in you too, whether or not you've read a single page of those guys. That's the invisible war. The logical mind versus the real world. To think or to feel. To plan or to live. How many times have you acted on ideas you never tested? Pretty theories, catchy quotes, generic advice, all neat on paper. But when they hit reality, they crumbled. Or the opposite. You had a crystal clear experience, deep and raw. And someone convinced you it wasn't quite like that you misread it because it didn't fit the theory. It happened to me. I trusted someone because on paper they were perfect. Well-spoken, solid track record, killer arguments. I followed the logic, but inside, something screamed. I ignored it and paid the price. If that's ever happened to you, drop a comment. I needed this. And here's where it gets real. Because this tension isn't just philosophical, it's practical. It shows up when you choose a career, build a relationship, even interpret your faith. You're stuck between trusting logic or what you've lived, between what you were taught to think and what life already proved. Maybe, just maybe, the real knowledge isn't in picking a side. It's in holding the tension between both. Learning to think without shutting out feeling. Learning to feel without quitting on thought. If you're hungry for answers that actually matter, stick around. This channel is for people who think and feel. Comment right now. I want to see beyond the obvious. Like, share, and hit subscribe. Because in the next chapter, we're diving into where this battle hurts the most. Your faith, and how the way you think might be killing what you believe. The conversation doesn't end here. Come with me to the next chapter. Chapter 2. When logic kills faith. Have you ever tried to believe in God rationally? Tried to squeeze faith inside a logic box, as if everything must make sense to be real? The problem is logic has limits, and mystery, the thing we call faith, begins where logic ends. But we were taught the opposite. Maybe you heard as a kid, don't question God, but also use your reason. So you grow up balancing the spiritual and the rational, Without noticing, you're sometimes using the wrong tool for a path walked with the heart. Truth is, rationalism, that idea that only reason leads to knowledge, still drives how many people approach spirituality. Descartes believed God existed but had to be proven. Plenty after him tried the same. Shove the sacred into an equation. If it doesn't fit, ditch it. You may have done that without realizing. You prayed and didn't feel anything, so you figured it didn't work. You asked for a sign, but it didn't come the way you wanted, so God must have been silent. You started demanding the divine behave rationally. But what if God isn't logical? At least not our kind of logical. I've been there. I tried to live a faith that made sense on paper, follow rules, read the texts, slot everything into a system. Inside, empty. Like trying to love someone with a manual in hand. Cold, mechanical, reasonable, but nowhere near alive. True faith can't be explained. It's experienced. It's born in the middle of confusion, yet somehow you feel peace. It shows up when you lose everything and still believe. It blooms when you have zero proof, only a thin breath of hope. Rationalism doesn't get that kind of faith, so it tries to erase it, calls it illusion, superstition, weakness. But if you felt God in the silence of a dark room, if you've had a rescue no one could explain, if you've cried hearing words that felt crafted just for you, then you know. Faith doesn't live in logic. It lives in experience. Locke would call that empirical knowledge, something you live, not something you're handed. Here's the kicker. Rationalism shapes our thinking so much that people walk away from faith just because they can't explain it. But faith isn't logic. Faith is surrender, presence. Something you understand only after you live it. Have you ever doubted your faith because you couldn't explain it? Comment, I felt it but couldn't put it into words. If this hit home, stay with me. Because in the next chapter we'll flip the script. How empiricism, learning through experience, can unlock your pain, your love, even your purpose. If this chapter moved you, drop one word that defines you right now. Like, share, and subscribe. This channel is for those who think and feel. You've seen faith. Now come see the heart behind the hurt. I'll meet you in the next chapter. Chapter 03. Love makes no sense, yet it teaches you. Have you ever tried to explain why you love someone? Tried to justify a pain no one else saw? Some things we feel have no words. Some things we live we don't even understand. But they transform us. That's where empiricism steps in, not as theory, but as lived truth. While rationalism wants formulas, empiricism asks, what have you been through? Because what you feel, what you experience, weighs more than any manual. Locke said nobody's born with ready-made ideas. We learn through life. Pain teaches, love teaches, loss teaches. No matter how many books you read, you only really get it when it hurts on your skin. I remember the first time I got dumped. It wasn't just a breakup. It sparked 1,000 questions about who I was. Nothing I knew prepared me. That pain taught me about attachment, expectation, pride, and need, all at once. Been there? Tell me in the comments. The truth? People try to understand love with logic, but love isn't an equation. It's messy, loud, intense, sometimes unfair, and still, we run back to it. Why? Because love is experienced. Living means accepting not everything will make sense. Same with pain. Some folks try to rationalize it. Like, I shouldn't feel this way, or it's been so long, why does it still hurt? Doesn't work. Pain has no deadline. Only the one who's been through it truly knows. Empiricism shows you this. Knowing isn't just understanding, it's living. And sometimes the only way to learn is by breaking. Life teaches more than any theory. Yet we've learned to doubt what we feel, to trust what others say over what we experience. Then you start thinking you're weak for feeling too much, or stupid for having given your all. But what if your biggest mistake is believing feeling is a mistake? If you're feeling something right now, pain, longing, doubt, that's proof you're alive. And real living is letting experience change you. If that resonates, comment, "I learned through pain." Or share this video with someone who needs to forgive themselves for what they lived. This channel is for people who think and feel. And in the next video, we'll tie it all together. Why reason and experience aren't enemies, they're allies, and how you can use both to make choices that are actually true. If this video brought back something strong, drop a word that represents your story. Stick with me, because next, we're putting all the pieces together. This was just the start of the truth. Next time, we go deeper. See you there. Chapter 04. Between Heart and Head, How to Really Decide. So far, you've seen thinking too much can freeze you, and feeling without reflection can hurt. But what if the problem was never thinking or feeling? What if the mistake is trying to pick one? You don't have to be just reason or just emotion. You're a whole being. You think and feel. You analyze and live. You remember and ache. You plan and get frustrated. Real life demands something few talk about: wisdom. And wisdom is born when the mind meets the heart, when logic walks with memory, when thought respects experience. How do you do that in practice? Start here. Before making a decision, ask, what does my reason say? Does it make sense? Is it coherent? Is there a solid base? But don't stop there. Ask also, what does my experience tell me? Have I lived something similar? What did I feel right before I crashed? What did I feel right before I nailed it? You'll notice your body often knows before your mind. Your stomach tightens. Your breathing changes. Some things thought can't catch, but experience already picked up. Ignore neither. Logic shields you from illusion. Experience keeps you from repeating mistakes. There was a time everything looked perfect on paper. Big project, huge upside, guaranteed return. But something in me whispered, don't go. Logic yelled yes. Experience murmured careful. This time, I listened to both. I analyzed, weighed it. And in the end, I walked away. Months later, that project sank. And I learned, wisdom isn't choosing a side, it's hearing both. Live that inner tug of war? Comment, been stuck in the middle. Here's the beauty. When you learn to listen to mind and heart, decisions get lighter, even the hard ones. You start trusting yourself more. You realize you don't need every answer, because you've got what you've lived and a clear head. You become someone with experience and direction, someone who thinks deeply but hasn't lost sensitivity. If that spoke to you, comment, I want to decide with wisdom. Like, share, and subscribe. This channel is for people tired of extremes who want to live whole. In the next chapter, we'll make the final leap. How this union of reason and experience can reshape your idea of purpose. Not just what you do, but why you do it. If this video is clicking for you, share it with someone who needs it now. See you in the next chapter. Chapter 05. Purpose is when pain turns into direction. Have you ever asked yourself what your purpose is? Not what you do for money, but why you get up every day. Some chase goals, status, achievements, but feel a hollow that never leaves. Others live passionately, heart on sleeve, but with no direction, stumbling in the dark. Truth is, your purpose isn't just in your mind, but it doesn't live only in your heart either. It lives midway, between the reason that plans and the experience that pulses. Mind alone can take you somewhere that looks right, yet has no soul. Heart alone can push you into a passion that burns you out while building nothing. Purpose is a compass, but it won't work if you use only half of it. For it to really guide you, you need to think and feel at the same time. I learned the hard way. For a long time, I was all reason, plans, careers, goals. I checked every box that made sense. Yet inside, something screamed, not here. Then I swung to all emotion, followed passions, lived the now, dropped everything. But without direction, I got lost. It was only when I put the two together, mind and heart, that I began to build something that felt meaningful and alive. Felt this conflict? Comment. I'm searching for purpose. Reason helps map the road. Experience shows whether that road is true for you. Ignore either one and you're lost. A practical example. Some pick a job because it's logical. Good money, status, security, but live miserable. Why? Because it doesn't feel like a calling. Others chase what they love, but without structure, clarity, or prep. They slog, frustrated, exhausted. Why? Because they've got fire but no focus. Real purpose is when you fuse the two. It's when your story prepares you and your mind organizes it. When what moves you inside finds a path in the world. You don't need every answer today, but start with this question. What have I lived, and what do I understand from it? Your pain, wins, falls, all that is experience. Use it. But also think, plan, study, test. Because feeling without structure can pin you in place. Purpose isn't just a dream, it's direction with a soul. If that hit home, comment, I want to live on purpose. Like, share, and send this video to someone feeling lost. This channel is for people done with only thinking or only feeling, who want to live with awareness and truth. And we're not done. Because in the next video, I'll show you how to bring all this into your relationships. Love, friendship, family, how reason and experience shape everything you live with others. If this video helped clarify your purpose, comment below. I'm ready to live consciously. I like share with someone who needs this now, and subscribe. Here there's no magic formula, but there is truth, philosophy and practice, and a space for people who think and feel. Drop a heart if you're in on this journey, and tell me, what's the truth no one dares to say in your opinion? This channel is yours too. See you in the comments and in the next video.